The function of the One is now to return to the source, allowing a temporary dissemination of the code you carry, reinserting the Prime program. After which you will be required to select from the Matrix 23 individuals, 16 female, 7 male, to rebuild Zion. Failure to comply with this process will result in a cataclysmic system crash, killing everyone connected to the Matrix, which, coupled with the extermination of Zion, will ultimately result in the extinction of the entire human race.
You won't let it happen. You can't. You need human beings to survive.
There are levels of survival we are prepared to accept. However, the relevant issue is whether or not you are ready to accept the responsibility for the death of every human being in this world. It is interesting reading your reactions. Your 5 predecessors were, by design, based on a similar predication, a contingent affirmation that was meant to create a profound attachment to the rest of your species, facilitating the function of the One. While the others experienced this in a very general way, your experience is far more specific, vis-a-vis love.
Trinity.
Apropos, she entered the Matrix to save your life at the cost of her own.
No.
Which brings us at last to the moment of truth, wherein the fundamental flaw is ultimately expressed and the anomaly revealed as both beginning and end. There are 2 doors. The door to your right leads to the source and the salvation of Zion. The door to your left leads back to the Matrix, to her, and to the end of your species. As you adequately put, the problem is choice. But we already know what you are going to do, don't we? Already I can see the chain reaction, the chemical precursors that signal the onset of an emotion designed specifically to overwhelm logic and reason. An emotion that is already blinding you from the simple and obvious truth. She is going to die, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. Hope. It is the quintessential human delusion, simultaneously the source of your greatest strength and your greatest weakness.
If I were you, I would hope that we don't meet again.
We won't.
Hey, Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem Rakakwadash. Much mercy and respect to you true believers out there. You few ones that's actually in the spirit, that actually understand Yahweh Shai is the only way out. And that you have to agree with that new covenant in these last days. And that's the only way to get out of here. That clip right there, where Neo was talking to the architect, the guy, he was the one that actually formed the Matrix. And one of the most interesting things about that whole setup is that the architect, they set the Matrix up to not be, for people not to get through it, you see. And Neo, by him being the one, he broke the Matrix. Now, the architect told him too, he said, well, Trinity, she was going to die. But the heavy part about that is the love that Neo had for Trinity. That love that he had for Trinity and just Neo being who he was able to beat the Matrix. And then in the other scene after that, he actually saved her. When that is heavy, because the architect, that guy, he told him that she was going to die. You see what I'm saying? So the heavy part about this whole thing is that having that love for Yahweh Shai. Now, what you witness is a lot of guys, they don't have that love like that. So that's why, like, there is no spiritual power for guys thinking they're going to get spiritual power. And I seen another video where this guy talking about he had this dream, and his dream, well, Jeremiah told you that false prophets, they're going to be saying they're going to have dreams too. And you can tell by the tone in a lot of guys' voices that they're not even in the spirit. These guys is making up shit, man. And the thing about it is, there's no spiritual power without the covenant of Yahushua. So guys teaching to deny the covenant until they get new bodies, they're not in the power, and they're not going to receive spiritual power. They're in their power right now. They're in their constellation, which their constellation is of this world. It don't matter how many dreams these fucking clones they get of these fucking elders or whatever. There's no making it without agreeing with Yahushua and being in that covenant and having that love for Yahushua, that true charity. If guys had true charity and if they had true love, they would be getting guys to practice the high holy days of Yahushua, understanding that Yahushua and that new covenant, agreeing upon it instead of waiting on some shit. That is the most demonic shit that's happening in these last days. And they cover that shit up by all these prophecies. But these prophecies, they don't mean a goddamn thing if you don't have the Lord. So guys are teaching this truth without the love of Yahushua, without the true agape. Because if you had true agape, the Lord said, feed my sheep. And what you have to do, you have to feed them Yahushua. You have to give them the testimony of Yahushua, which is in the Gospels. The testimony of Yahushua is not just prophecy. It's actually living and walking as the way of Yahushua, actually loving your brother as you will love yourself. So what you have to understand is there is no power without the love of Yahushua. Now, what the Lord did was so beautiful. If you really think about it, he made it a way to where you could tell like if somebody's of the Lord or not. All the things that he told you that like you can't be in the wide gate, you can't sit on high seats. He said that the synagogues will be a den of thieves. He told you that he's not dwelling in temples made with hands. These are all clues and wide gates and broad paths where everybody is. And we could clearly see that guys are fucking corrupt, man, to the fucking core. You know, we could honestly see that guys are fucking corrupt in a motherfucker, man. And their mission and their job is to actually deny the covenant of Yahushua and get other men to deny the covenant and have guys wait on some shit. That is very fucking corrupt. So there's no love for Yahushua when you're telling guys that they have to wait on spiritual power. And all the miracles and all the things that Peter and Paul and Stephen and all these guys, all the things that they were doing, and they was in the same body. So we have a level of corruption in these last days that's so fucking high. But if you really don't have love for the Lord like that, then you won't see it. You have to have a level of love in yourself. Just like with Neo, when that guy told Neo, he said, Trinity, you know, she's going to die and ain't nothing you could do about it. Well, Neo, he was the one. Even the fucking architect himself was basically, he didn't know the capabilities of the one himself, even though he's the one that fucking set up the whole matrix. And that's what I thought that was so heavy to me. The love and the drive that Neo had for Trinity, that drove him to be able to save her and to ultimately save Zion. You know, when you finish the whole movies and when you go through the matrix, you brother seen it before. But the driving force behind this whole thing is the love for Yahushua. Now, everybody, they don't have that love for Yahushua. It's agape in the Greek. That true agape in that love, you know, along with your faith and all that, that goes a long way. So, like, when you have these guys that set up on these high seats, their job is to get you to not believing Yahushua. Their job is to get you to, is not for you to really fully all the way be in agreement with Yahushua. They got you in agreement with the old laws of Moses. Now, in these last days, what's happening is, in order to close this whole thing out, Yahushua has to be spoken, his covenant has to be taught, and that love has to be put out there. So like when we put videos out there, we're putting that love for Yahushua out there too. So that's what's heavy about it. It beats the love that we have for Yahushua. It beats all that fucking info, and it beats all that fucking prophecies and all this bullshit that guys have. Just by you having love for the Lord in these last days, that will cover a multitude of sins. And by you having that love for Yahushua, he's going to show you that love back too. You see what I'm saying? So that's why guys are not really teaching the gospels like that. That's why guys are not really teaching Yahushua like that. That's why guys are denying the covenant. And it's so heavy that these guys, this is how you get guys to stay here, by not teaching Yahushua and teaching the covenant, because you're not going to get out of here unless the elect get to that covenant, get to Yahushua, get to the agreement. That's what's so important, and that's why these groups, they've really been set up to hold you back from that covenant. So therefore, if you're in these groups, then you're in a mind frame where you're not in the covenant with the Lord until you get a new body. So that means you're not going to teach the Lord, or say, you wouldn't dare say you're in a covenant with the Lord, because what that does is, what these groups in these camps is teaching, all these groups in these camps, they're denying the new covenant. And all these are big major camps like the Sakaris, all these fucking scumbag groups, but they could teach you all this shit. And then you had Sakari, what did he say? He said the book of Hebrews wasn't, the book of Hebrews is a part of the Bible or some shit they said. So it's a assault on Yahushua and his men. So you have those men, those 12 disciples that was with Yahushua when he was walking the planet. You have those men here on the planet. You see? You have them here. You have everybody back here from the book of Acts pretty much. And guys that's sitting on high seats, they don't have shit to do with none of the apostles in Acts. They don't. They everybody sitting on high seats right now, they're those fucking magicians. They're those sorcerers and shit. They're the ones that was making money off of their fucking wicked deeds and their wicked ass acts. So the love that Neo had allowed him to save her, even though the architect that designed the Matrix, he told him that she was going to die. But what happened was Neo was able to beat that. And that's what's happening in this time. The elect and the ones that actually have true love for Yahushua, they're beating this because they have that love within them. And that is the source of your spiritual power right there. See, that love drove Neo so hard to where he had to save her. You see what I'm saying? And that saved her. So that love for Yahushua in these last days, that's unseen. So everybody, they can act like they're of the Lord and shit, and they can act like all this, but really the love ain't there. Because if the love was there, they'd be teaching Yahushua's commandment. The Lord said, if you love me, keep my commandments. He didn't say nothing about the commandments of Moses. So therefore, guys trying to teach the New Testament and they deny the covenant, they don't have the understanding of the New Testament, denying the covenant. You don't. So what do we have here? We have a bunch of fucking false prophets that have been set up in these last days. But what the Lord did, he gives you a way out. You know, he sets up a few men that you have to find. Therefore, by you finding what the Lord is, you can get to the Lord on your own. Then you'll be able to see what guys are really doing. Just like the sit down I did a couple days ago, going into the synagogue of Satan, which I did like a first part of that, going back maybe like a month or 2 months ago or something like that. But once you understand certain things, like the synagogue of Satan, who are the true synagogue of Satan? It had nothing to do with the Jews, even though they're devils. Don't get me wrong, they're devils. But the true synagogue has to do with our people, what they were doing in the churches, making covenants with the heathen. The temples built with hands. Now, when the Lord came on the scene, they rejected the Lord in these temples and in these synagogues. Just like when you go to the story of Stephen, all those temples and them synagogues, they didn't like what Stephen was saying and what he was doing. And then he cussed their ass out. So the Lord is not going to put his spirit in these high synagogues. It's something that the spirit is going to have to guide you to the spirit, just like you have to be guided to the phone booth, and the only fucking way out. So it all goes back to the true love that you have for Yahweh Shai. That's the source of your spiritual power right there. So if you really don't have no love for this and the Lord, and you just doing this for clout and money, you don't have any fucking power. You see what I'm saying? So all these guys that are in a demonic death state, coming over, being Darth Vader, and they don't have no love in their fucking heart. They don't have any power with the Lord. They're outside the temple. That's why this time is very deceptive. You have to be able to see through all the shit guys is teaching. It don't matter what guys is teaching if they deny Yahweh Shai, the covenant. If they deny the Son, then they don't have a goddamn thing but a bunch of info, which ain't gonna get them nowhere at the end of the day. This is Matthew 22 and 36. Master, which is the great commandment and in the law? Matter of fact, let me start up here. Right, and that's what's happening. A lot of guys, they are erring, not knowing the scriptures, man, because they're denying Yahweh Shai. So guys are erring in these camps, bro. Like, okay, you have guys going to the highways, but ultimately, if you really look at it real deep, they're going to the highways without Yahweh Shai and without his spirit and without the covenant. They're not in the covenant going to the highways. You see what I'm saying? So it's heavy what's actually happening. Yeah, guys are going to the highways and all that bullshit, right? But they're not going there in agreement with Yahweh Shai yet. They say they're waiting on it. So this part, that part right there, if you can see that what's happening, then you'll understand guys are really out there for nothing. And they're out there as a distraction and a decoy from the true spirit. Let me read this. Matthew chapter 22, verse 32. I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. Right? So these guys, like the brother said, they don't have the breath of Yahweh Shai. Like when you go to John real quick, John said, what did John say? He breathed that breath into them and they received the spirit. John 20 and 22. And when he said this, he breathed on them and saith unto them, receive ye the Holy Ghost. So the Lord breathed that breath in his true disciples. And that's the only ones who are going to glorify the Lord and to keep the Lord, the ones that's actually of the Lord. They're going to, they're the only ones that are going to be breathing that breath. The rest of you guys, you're fucking dead right now. You're dead. Teaching his word. There's no life in you guys. Man, this guy talking about he had these dreams and shit. Man, these guys, man, what the scripture tell you in Jeremiah, that you got to be aware of guys talking about they dreamed and they had this dream and that dream. Because ultimately, if you're denying Yahweh Shai and you're not teaching the commandments of Yahweh Shai, which he brought, then you don't have any power. That means that you're corrupt. You're doing something underhand in this world so you can sit on high seats. And the only way guys can sit on high seats, they have to deny that covenant. And that's why Esau, he sets up these synagogues of Satan, Because ultimately, yeah, they're going to teach you certain shit, but ultimately they're denying Yahweh Shai in the new covenant. So that's what makes these guys synagogues of Satan. Because they're not agreeing with the Son right now. You see what I'm saying? So the Lord says, without me, there's no life in you without Yahweh Shai. So guys are dead. They're dead teaching on the highways because they're under leaders that are denying the covenant right now. But we see they as, you see? And soon as enough of this word goes out of the new covenant that's actually working right now, then we can get out of here. This is what closes this thing up. So these guys that are teaching that you're not in the covenant with Yahweh Shai, they really want to stay here. And this is how they've been teaching for 40 years, 50 years. They've been teaching without the covenant of Yahweh Shai. And you could look at guys like what they're teaching in their sit-downs. They're not teaching about the Lord. And you know, it's heavy because since we've been teaching the Lord so heavy, these guys shy away from the Lord and anything that got to do with the Lord pretty much. And they might bring them up just a little bit, but by us teaching the new covenant and the Lord, it really shows who guys are, man. And that's why that's major prophecy. That's major prophecy being kicked out of the synagogues, man. That's prophecy. That's major. So we know like the elect is being sealed because they're coming out of these broad gates and these broad paths. So going back to Matthew 22 and 32, I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. The Most High is not the God of the dead, but of the living. These guys are dead without Yahweh Shai. They don't have no life in them without the Lord. Matter of fact, let me read this real quick. It's heavy like that. So just like the one, like Neo, it was talking about, the guy was talking about Neo. The one has, the one will have those capabilities to see through the matrix. And so by having that capability to be able to see through the matrix, by you having that capability, being the one to see through the matrix, then your capabilities, there's no limit to your capabilities. And so that's what Neo showed you. After that, the architect told him that old girl was going to die. Neo beat that. He beat that. You know, he beat the matrix and he beat what old boy was talking about. So it's heavy, the one in the elect, because the scripture says no fault found with those men. See, through the flesh, you might can say this guy did this, or he did this, or he did that. But the ones that are found with no fault in the Lord, it's nothing you could do with them in the spirit. Now, this is John real quick. 6:53. Then Yahweh shall say unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, except you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. So all these camps, they don't have no fucking life in them because they're not honoring the new covenant. There's no life in these guys. They're a bunch of fucking liars, man. They're a bunch of murderers, and they're a bunch of fucking, and they hate their brother that they seen. You see, that they see. They got hate for their brother. This is love, because teaching Yahweh Shai, that's love. These guys, they don't have love because they're not teaching you to agree with Yahweh Shai, so there's no fucking life in these guys. It don't matter, guys out there on the streets, they ultimately deny the covenant, so they don't have no life in them. That's why the Lord said he's not the God of the dead, but he's the God of the living. So this is what you got to understand dealing in these scriptures. If guys are denying Yahweh Shai, right, and they're teaching all this shit, that means that they're not of the Lord. You got to look past all the fucking information they have, or how good they speak, or how many lessons they do. And when you're lukewarm, right, this is something of the spirit. It don't matter, like you could do videos every day, but you're lukewarm because you're denying Yahweh Shai. That means you're teaching some of the Bible, but you're denying the new covenant of his son, which you need to keep those commandments starting effectively, effective immediately. You know, brothers heard that term before. Effective immediately. That's what the covenant was. Soon as the Lord died and he breathed that breath into them apostles, when he came back, he supped with them for 40 days, 40 nights. The spirit was effective immediate, just like the spirit is. It's effective right now. And that's why we get demons on our comment board talking about, you guys got to stop teaching that. Man, fuck you. Fuck you and all you demonic elders and all these fucking demonic fucking Israelite churches, man, that are denying the Lord. All you fucking guys in these last days, you're naked out there. You're naked without Yahweh Shai. There's no life in you. There's no life in none of you fucking guys. So all your vain dreams, I had a dream about Apostle Hart had spiritual power. Well, the reality is they don't have nothing to do with the Lord. They've been denying him for the last 30, 40 years. That's why their countenance is all fucked up, because they've been denying the Lord for the last 30, 40 fucking years. Talking about the end's gonna come in the year 2000. The Lord told your ass that nobody knows the day. See, guys are corrupt, and then going back years ago when they got into Yale University talking about skull and bones. These guys have been juiced in for a long ass time. And all you stupid ass guys that's following these big ass wide gates and these camps, that means that you're corrupt. If the Lord don't get you out of there, that means that you'll corrupt yourself. And according to Matthew 13, yeah, that's the case. You have a lot of guys, they're just part of the bundles. That's what the fuck they are. So the Lord is telling them he don't have nothing to do with these guys that are dead. The old laws of Moses, they was ripped in two. So basically they're dead. They're dead. The new high holy day is the Lord. And guys are not teaching that. They're teaching the old laws of Moses. Guys are highly fucking satanic, man. And the thing about it, we're not just doing this because we fucking hate guys. We're doing this because this is the right thing to do. Guys are literally covering the Lord up in these last days. They're literally trying to hold you back from the Lord. And you're not going to be delivered without the Lord and agreeing with that covenant. You see what I'm saying? So it's very deceptive what's happening in these last days. This is why you have to understand that the spirit of the Lord is not going to be out there in groups and wide gates and camps. It can't be out there like that. It can't be. This is something you got to understand. So when the Lord talks about greater works that you're going to do, you got to understand that this world is going to be way more fucking demonic. And you don't want to be in a broad path where everybody is. You don't want to be where guys are being honored in this world, but they're not honored in the spirit. They're not honored in the spirit. The Lord don't have nothing to do with them. These guys are demons. The brother did the video on demons. Yeah, these guys, they're heavy demons, and they got demons all around them. Because you're not pulling guys out denying that covenant. You're not pulling demons out of guys denying that covenant. The Lord said, if you don't drink of his blood, there's no fucking life in you. So if you're not teaching Yahweh Shai and to agree with that covenant right now, there's no fucking life in you. But what guys have done, they made you think like they're on some level because they got all this knowledge and this prophecy and history. But if you watch guys, how guys teach, they don't teach Yahweh Shai or the Gospels. You see what I'm saying? So if you're able to get to what we're saying and see what we're saying, then the Lord is actually dealing with you. But if you come over here and what we're saying, you disagree with it and you turn your nose up, that means that you're of the dead. Because guys teaching these Bibles, they're all dead. You really think Esau let guys teach Yahweh Shai on a heavy level, getting everybody to agree with that covenant? We would have been out of here then. We would have been out of here, man. So it's very heavy in these last days, and you have to be able to see for yourself. And that's what the Lord teaches you. He teaches you how to see for yourself. And ultimately, it all goes back to love. Now, Matthew 22 and 33. And when the multitude heard this, they were astonished at his doctrine. Whoo! That's what the new covenant is. The new covenant and Yahweh Shai's doctrine, it'll leave you marveled and astonished. You. That's why the apostles in Acts, they were being prosecuted, and it was hits out on Paul, because they were continuing the legacy of Yahushua, teaching that new covenant. This is what this whole thing is about. When you crack the matrix and you crack the code and you understand what this is about, when you start to teach that new covenant, then that brings an end to this whole shit. That's why guys have been denying the covenant for all these years, teaching the old laws of Moses, got you holding a physical lamb. And as long as you keep that physical lamb, you're steady, you're smacking your Yahushua and the Holy Spirit away. That's what you're doing. When you keep these carnal commandments and these carnal high holy days, and you follow these elderly guys in these fucking camps and groups, and you don't get out of there, and you're directly still following the old laws of Moses, that means you're slapping the spirit away, and you're slapping the Yahushua's hand off. So you're not in the spirit in these last days. You're not in the spirit. So for guys to think they're in the spirit and they're casting demons out of people, you're not casting demons out of nobody. The Lord said you can do nothing without him, and there's no life in you without Yahushua. Matthew 22:34. But when the Pharisees had heard that he put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. And that's what's happening too. We're putting a lot of guys to silence by what we're doing. They don't have nothing to say. Because a lot of guys are finding out that they were wicked the whole time. That's what they're really finding out. They're finding out that they're really wicked. Because at this time now, you really know, like, if you're of the Lord or not. So a lot of guys that's hoping and thinking and all, they're not of the Lord. All the men of the Lord knew the Lord was with them. It wasn't no hoping and none of that shit. See, Neo, he knew he was the one. That's how you have to be. You have to know you the one. And you know, like, if you're the Lord, if you have that love for the Lord. See, we actually care about this thing, man. And you can't fake that love. It shows. But if you deny that covenant, that means that you don't have no love for the Lord. Matthew 22:34. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees, he says, Matthew 22:34. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. And one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him, saying, see, these guys, they were all about trying to tempt the Lord. They wasn't of, you know what I'm saying? Like, guys wasn't sincerely trying to understand him and repent and follow the Lord. They wanted to, like, spy him out and tempt him. But check this out. These are important right here, man. Matthew 22:36. It says, Master, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Yahushua said unto them, thou shalt love thy power with all thine heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. You shall love the Lord with your whole heart. And when you go back to that movie, The Matrix, he loved Trinity that same way. That's how he was able to do that miracle and save her, even though that the architect told him that he wasn't going to be able to do it. But he did it because he had that love in him. And this is what you have to understand about this truth. If you don't have that love for Yahushua like that, you're not going to make it. So you what did the Lord say? He said, if you love me, keep my commandments. If you love me, feed my sheep. So you have to feed the sheep what? With Yahushua and his new agreement. You have to teach the Gospels, the letters in red. They mean the most right now. So with all your fucking heart and all your soul, with your whole spirit, and the scripture Terry that charity covers the multitude of sins. You see, so that love for the Lord, you just think about it. You have love for the Lord when everybody else was denying him, and they really wasn't even teaching him like that. Man, if you go to these guys' videos and their pages, like if you go to certain guys' communities, right, you'll see like nobody's talking about the Lord. That's why these synagogues are the synagogue of Satan, man. All these camps, they're not in the spirit. They're all dead. They're all fucking dead. They don't have no breath in them. And what's happening is, like the Lord said, if they don't want the Lord to reign over them, then they're going to be slayed in the spirit. And that's what's happening. The Lord got us few brothers slaying these guys in the spirit. And eventually the Lord's going to slay their ass in the physical. Matthew 22:37, Yahushua said unto them, thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. The second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So you have to love the Lord's Son, and you have to show that you love him by teaching him and really getting people to understand him. Verse 40. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So now you understand that by loving the Lord with all your heart, this is direct key to spiritual power. So by guys denying that covenant, that means that they don't have any fucking power or none of that shit. They don't have no spiritual power. And you will never get none. So what guys are doing in these last days, they're teaching for nothing out there in the highways, basically, because you're not in the spirit of Yahushua. You're out there in the fucked up spirit. You're in a fucked up spirit teaching out there. You're in the flesh with all your fucking info. So really what guys is doing, they're snaring people into those traps. And then when they get into the camp, they're going to be clones just like them. Just like when Mr. Smith, he put his fucking hand in your fucking chest and he makes you a clone like him. That's what these guys doing in these groups. They're making guys just clones like them with no spirit or no life. They're all dead. Lying, talking about they had dreams. Your dreams don't mean a goddamn thing. You don't agree with Yahushua. How the fuck you think your dreams mean anything? Get the fuck out of here, man. 1 Corinthians 8:1. Now, touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffeth up. That's why these guys are puffed up, because they got all this knowledge in these breakdowns. But charity edified with no fucking love. No agape. They don't have love for this thing. The only reason guys are doing this is because they being seen and guys are making money and they think they're part of the famous camp because guys are carnal. The ones that's in the spirit, they're nowhere around these fucking groups right now. Or if the Lord's dealing with you, he's kicking you out of these groups right now. It's one of the two. 1 Corinthians chapter 13:2. And this is heavy because you have to understand that Paul's explaining to you, if you don't have love while you're doing this, you don't have access to the power. You don't. 1 Corinthians 13:2. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith that I can remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing. Though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my blood to be burnt, though I give my body to be burnt, and have not charity, it profits me nothing. So, guys teaching this word without the new covenant, without Yahushua, without the love, it's not profiting guys nothing out there. It's not profiting guys nothing, man. So guys like, yeah, we're going to the highways, right? But you deny the covenant. You don't have no love for Yahushua. If you deny that covenant right now, that means you don't have any love for Yahushua. So that means you're a fucking reprobate. You're in the congregation of the dead out there. Concentration camps. And that guy, Elderly Gabar, years ago, he did a documentary on the concentration camps. Well, these Israelite groups are spiritual concentration camps to keep you away from the covenant and the love of Yahushua. So that's why in these last days, you have to get to the Lord on your own, and you have to have that love for the Lord. Once you understand the Lord and you have that love for the Lord, like Mary did when she was washing the Lord's feet, like Peter did, he had that love for the Lord too. All the disciples, they had that love for the Lord, except that Judas Iscariot. Judas Iscariot, just a lot of guys, they just worried about the bag. But you have to have that love. If you're forgiven for much, then you're gonna love much. So a lot of guys, they don't love the Lord much because guys are not forgiven. They're keeping the old laws of Moses. Therefore, their sins are just on their ass. It's just weighing them down, weighing them down. It's heavy, man. That's heavy what's happening what's happening in these last days. Second Timothy 2:23, it says, flee also useful lusts, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. Now remember, David, he was a man after the Lord's heart. So what you got to understand about that is you have to have a good heart doing this. Then you're able to love the Lord. So the elect and the ones that's meant to believe this and to be delivered and to be in the spirit, they're going to have a pure heart with love. Let me read that again. It says, flee also useful lust, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. That's who the Lord is only dealing with men and women that have a pure heart, like genuine love for the Lord. And you cannot be amongst these wide gates and these camps and these groups, because these groups, they show you they don't have love for the Lord because they're not following his commandments. God's been in the truth 30, 40 years and they still denying the covenant. And that's why these guys been in the truth for so fucking long, because they're not obeying the laws of Yahweh Shai. Therefore, when you start to teach that new covenant, then that brings the end. You see? So it's heavy what's going on in these last days, man. First Timothy 4:12. Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity. Right? So you don't have any charity if you're denying the covenant. If you're in these groups, you don't have any true love. You're just a fucking dirtbag. You see? You're just a dirtbag. And really, guys don't want to leave this place, man. They want to stay here. That's why guys are not teaching that new covenant, because they want to stay here. And what that covenant does, it brings an end to this whole thing. Yahweh Shai is the author and the finisher. So when you teach Yahweh Shai, when you really teach Yahweh Shai, then you could bring a end to it. You see? Does that make sense? You could really bring an end to it when you teach Yahweh Shai. And that's what it's doing. And that's why guys hate what we're doing, man. They really hate what we're doing. You see? Hebrews 8:6. But now have he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is a mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. So the Lord brought the covenant already, man. And if you let these guys get you to deny, if you let these guys get you to deny that covenant, that means you're of Satan. There's no way around it. And that's exactly what they were set up to do, to get you to deny the covenant. Have you waiting on something that's never going to come. Hebrews 12:24, and Yahweh Shai, the mediator of the new covenant. That's what it's all about. It's all about the Lord. So guys not teaching the Lord, that means that they're of Satan. All these elders and shit, whatever they're teaching, if it ain't got nothing to do with the Lord, they already, these camps, you just got to get away from these camps, man. They're all death traps. They're all concentration camps. That's what they are. They're part of the world. All right. And they're going to be swallowed down with the fucking world in these last days. That's why the new covenant has to be continued to be taught, because that's what's going to bring this whole shit down. The Lord, if the Lord is the author and the finisher of our faith, then that means that you have to teach Yahushua to finish this. You see what I'm saying? So, like, if you don't really want to finish and you want to stay here, then you're not really teaching Yahushua. It's heavy like that. Hebrews 12 and 24. And Yahushua, the mediator of the new covenant, and to the sprinkling of the blood that speaketh better things than that of Abel. So what Yahushua did is over what anybody could do in the scriptures. That's why he said a greater one. He said a greater one than Solomon is here. He said he was greater than Jonas. He said he was Lord over the Sabbath. So the Lord is your high holy days. That's why you're able to find a rest in the spirit. These guys that are teaching in these groups, they don't have a rest in their spirit because they're of Satan. But with that, shalom.
We got a serious situation, sir.
Oh no.
That? Whatever it is, it's moving faster than anything I've ever seen.
I love you too damn much.